Good morning, everybody. Tuesday the 11th. Wait, where's my time? Just realized my date is in US format. I just realized that. Yeah, the 11th of the 4th. Strange. That is how you guys see it. My settings must just be set in US. 11th, 4th of November. That is really weird seeing that. But anyway, looking here on the NQ on the daily time frame, I spoke about these extensions on morning trade plan, and it's just really evident to see how price is really, 1 second. There we go. 1 sec. Is that working? Yeah, price has come up into, we've had two negative 100. So you've got this one here, which I'll just put in dashed. And we traded that once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times. Okay. Which is the high to high all the way back from August, which I think I spoke about yesterday. And as well as that, we then had the traditional, which is from the 50, from that low. And we traded the exact retracement down on the Trump and China news a couple of weeks ago, if not last month now. And again, that went all the way to its negative 23. And inside there, we had this draw, which is again from the 50 to the 50, 2 days traded it. And again, that draw, if we just put that on double thickness, has gone all the way again to its negative 100. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. So we had 5 days of balance, and now we are breaking down from that balance. So all I'm really going to be looking at is initially we'll have this high to high that we still are in and we haven't yet broken. But a full break of that would just basically be this 62. So if that does happen, I would be drawing from what would be the 17th of November. And that would bring us back down to pretty much the high of the Trump tweet, Trump and China news, which is pretty much coming down to the weekly low at 25,450s. So nothing really too crazy. I mean, we're still obviously, you know, on a huge rally from where we've come from, and all that would be is pretty much just getting us back down to last month's price. So nothing really too crazy, but we have had a nice sell-off on the overnight. 410 points. Most stocks are down that I've got on my save chart, apart from HIMS. I think they had the earnings last night. But on the half an hour time frame, if we just have a look, I don't think we've been in true trend at all since the open, since the 6 p.m. open. So yeah, you can pretty much see on my chart we have been inside this true trend to the downside all on the overnight, pretty much since the open. I did take a couple stab longs here on the ETH low, but then I ended up completely fumbling the bag and giving it back, and yeah, just not the best trading. And I'm kind of glad, because it goes with what I've been trying to teach in the course. Like, when everything doesn't line up, it's going to be really hard. And I would even go as far as saying, especially with the true trend, like I feel like the true trend is at least 2 or 3 markers in terms of checkpoints, or checklist in terms of what you want to see. And when you have these triangles and diamonds, but you don't necessarily have the true trend, look, we just, from the ETH low, Lee put some stats into the trading room on the overnight this morning, and I put those into ChatGTP just to work out the averages. And there was a couple of occasions where we traded 276 points and 170. And anyway, I put into ChatGTP to work out what the 90th and 95th percentile were. And when we came down here by 120 points, it was ranking it as pretty much, if I just get my screen over here to show you, I sent them over to Sam, so I think they're in our chat. Let me just have a look. Can you see my... Yeah, so you can see here coming into, and again, we haven't fully tested these ourselves just yet, but 90 percentile was 75 points and 95 percentile was 160. So add those up, divided by 2, it was about 120, which is literally where I think we came to. 115 points, right? And then we had that 100 140 point rally up. So really nice to see. It was just hard to get long in here for me because I wasn't knowing exactly where it was going to stop. I longed down here when we had the 25 point and rode it up, but then I tried to take some stab longs in here and unfortunately did get stopped out. So those 25k accounts that I had, annoyingly, I mean, I did take from, basically they were $90. I thought they were $80 each, but they were $90 times 5, which is $450. And I think the total withdrawn is 4, 5, and 10 plus about 400. So about 19,400. So I don't know what the return on investment from 400 to 19.5k is, but it's got to be over 4,000. So I will take that. It's annoying having to start again, but I will get some evaluations on the 25k. I feel like the $449 to reset to go straight back into the pro account is like potentially worth it, but I just don't want to get into a routine of having to do that. So I feel like it might be better just for me to start on the evals again and just get those basically pass in 2 days, but then just take some small trades because you have to have 5 days to get them passed. So I'll do that, but then alongside I'll trade my funded next account as well, and maybe my personal. So just have to be a little bit more cautious on the take profit accounts because I think Lord said you're only allowed 10 in a month. So if I've already had 5, I guess for November, or does it start from maybe October? Because those are technically from October. So I don't know exactly how it works, but point being is I don't want to be recycling those too quickly because that's sort of what happened at Top Step. And obviously with take profit only allowing 10 per month, you don't really want to be blowing those, repeatedly. So I would rather just be cautious on those than trading them, repeatedly. So I've got a couple that I'm trading, 2 accounts that I've got open, and then I've got 3 that I'm going to look at opening today. But I really want to see, I think I'm going to trade the evals individually and just try and get some small trades on them just to get them over the $700 for 2 days. And then day 4, 5, and 6, sorry, day 3, 4, and 5, I'll just do small trades. But we'll see what we get. Probably going to just have to try and follow the trades down into support. The BX is red. It hasn't obviously closed, so it's kind of like this is basically decision making. We either continue to sell off or we do find a base and we actually do close green today. If we're going to close red, obviously it's going to be a bearish day. So it's just going to be, for me, since the overnight action has been really, really hard for me to trade, simply because I haven't been taking any shorts. I have actually only really taken longs, and I would argue I've probably been on the wrong side of the market, just purely because, again, this true trend hasn't yet been green at all, like not at all. So I would argue, I've probably been on the wrong side trying to trade potentially some trades that just weren't really worth taking. So knowing that, I'm probably going to go in today's session a little bit more focused. So I think for me to get involved in any longs, we really are going to have to at least have some true trend start, because as you can see, this has just been absolutely bearish from the open. So hopefully if we are going to get it, we won't really miss anything because it should turn green, and we'll try and follow those longs if and when we get them. But of course, we are below the ETH trend line, and those expected highs on the day takes you back up into that ETH trend line. So it's a bit of a boring move if we get it. It's not really going to do much. You're just basically going to be an overnight mid rebalance, which is where your high of day is. So I'll take it if we get it. I don't know what that actually is point wise. Why does that put us back up to 100 to 200 points to the upside? We've already taken out ETH low. I think Lee was saying I think the average, let me get that photo back in the room. I think the average was like, let's see if I can find it on here, in terms of points below before the bounce. So on here we can see the 90th percentile was 75 points. So if I just mark out, this is over the past 100 trades. So 90 points is literally about where we are. So this would be the 90th percentile around here. So knowing that means 90% of the time we bounce from this area, if I'm reading those stats correctly. So, you're in discount for sure, but of course we just have to be aware of those the possibilities of getting those outliers where you do get those 200, 300 points dropped below ETH low. But I would argue, gun to my head, this is discount. In fact, I would mark this as my discount zone for the day. Discount zone. And if we can, you know, get some longs in here, then brilliant. Just got to be a little bit cautious and maybe pay myself a little bit quicker than I normally do. But yeah, that's going to be my discount zone for the day, simply based on the fact of the ETH low of day. And if we are going to continue to be bearish, I don't necessarily think or know if I really want to be short below this discount area. Yeah, that's the only thing that gets tricky for me, because you're going against 90% of the past 100 times where we've traded this ETH low, we typically bounce. So even if you short and are successful below this area, I just don't know long term if that's the best thing to do. I'm going to run some more stats on this with Sam in the background just to see if they are accurate and how we can play them. But based on the current knowledge I have, it's probably not worth trying to push any shorts below that discount zone, if that makes sense. So it's probably going to be a long trade that I take. It's just a case of what that trade looks like, and hopefully we get some sort of trend to form and push higher. But I'm going to be a little bit cautious on today's session, just based on the overnight session so far. If there's any questions, let me know. I think that's pretty much everything for now. It's probably going to be a case of waiting for the 10 o'clock candle to open, because the 4-hour low and the 4-hour high are quite tight at the moment. You can see where they are, and at 10 o'clock hopefully we get some range expansion, which gives us some new targets. And I would imagine actually those will line up with one of the ETH high of day, one of the ETH highs or lows, because the current range is looking like we probably get a rebalance back up into these highs. Also, just to pay attention to, we are below yesterday's low, which you know how I feel about that. I do not like taking trades below the RTH low from the previous session, and the high is right up here, 226,266, which I would imagine we're not going to get there today. And if we do, then obviously I'm not going to be taking longs at that level, because it's just way above where I would expect us to be. So yeah, in short, it's going to be a bit of a tricky day, but we will try to see what we can get, and yeah, to see what we can do. If anyone's got any other things to go over, let me know. But I think that's, yeah, it's a tricky read so far this morning, and it's always harder when you've been a little bit offside as well, because you're a little bit biased, because you feel like you want to be right. So taking that into account as well, and it always sucks, obviously, losing accounts as well. So there is that as well. So anyway, any questions, please let me know. I'm going to start up the Whoop Trading Room channel. Most of you will be in the room anyway, but if you're on YouTube, you can click the link below to get a trial on the Whoop live trading. It isn't going to be around forever, so take advantage of it whilst it's around. And without further ado, guys, I will see you all on Whoop.